brown skin lady. Indigenous women in the blended herbs, giving birth to the brown skin lady.
I think you have to get to a place in life where you value more than just what you look like. You know, you have to get to a place within yourself and within your walk and in your journey where you value the condition of your heart, and you value the condition of your mind and your emotional state and just your whole, what makes up your soul and your spirit, enough to invest and value nurturing that and pouring into that and feeding that and building that, because ultimately that's where your identity lies. And where your identity lies, your perception lies. And where your perception lies is where your frame of reference lies. And it's, you know, so it's like once you go down to the source of who it is that you are, it allows you to plant yourself in a foundation to where when somebody does call you out your name, like, you won't have to tear up the whole place that y'all are at, because you know that that's not who you are. You know, to where, you know, if you are in a relationship that's not good for you, and you really feel deep down in your soul and in your gut that that's not good for you, that you have,
like, you're so in tune with, like, you,
and that
like,
you have the courage to not tolerate, you know, certain actions from a man, or, you know, or out of relationships from family members, or out of certain unhealthy dynamics that you may have in relationships that are around you. So I think that just comes from focusing more so on your wholeness and on your well-being of who you are as an individual, as a whole entity, and not just, let me make sure my nails are okay, let me make sure my hair is cute, let me get these lashes on, let me tan, let me stay in the gym for 6 hours. I'm not knocking people that do that and do have those practices in place, because I think that that's so healthy and important to maintain your outer appearance. I'm not saying, you know, fall off.
Let yourself go and be like, I feel good about myself.
No. Don't do that. You know, but I'm just saying, value yourself enough to invest in who you are as a whole. You know, underneath that, like, who are you? Underneath that, are you beautiful? Underneath that, are you healthy? Because that is what's going to sustain you. That is where your foundation lies, and that is where your perception and your wholeness and your identity and your courage and your character and your heart and what's going to really get you through life. That's where that is. That's where that is.
And it's funny, like, the example I like to kind of give for that anyway, just because it's a very realistic one, comes from Pastor Jeremy. And it's
hey, Pastor J.
Pastor Jeremy. How you doing, sir? It's just the whole idea that even if all of this is to the nines and it's just, like, perfectly packaged, like, I remember there's, like, this series that he did. It was called Love, Sex, and Dating. And, like, if you're in a relationship, I don't care if you're single, like, married, whatever, you should go check it out. It's phenomenal. It's so good.
Absolutely.
The sun is just glistening on you. It's beautiful,
the
girl.
Glory.
It's like, oh, look at him raining it down. But anyway, the general idea of the part that I wanted to point out is that he made the comment that when you're looking for, you know, a spouse, or you're looking for somebody who could potentially be your spouse, something that you need to consider, and this is something that I don't always consider just because I'm butterflies and, like, rainbows all day, is that you may not get the perfect fairy tale in the way that you expected. So a lot of us aren't considering what happens if you or that person gets in a car accident, and your complete physical changes, or what if you get really sick and your physical shape, you're not able to maintain that awesome body or that awesome figure. Like, I'm not saying that those aren't important things to aspire to deliver in a certain way. I think you should feel good about yourself, and I think liking what you see when you look in the mirror is important. I think that's part of feeling confident and being whole. I don't discount that. But I will say that if you take that all away, what are you left with? I think that really is something that has to be considered. And Raisa, I love one thing that you said, like, when you go to bed, like, if you want to kind of, like, revisit that.
Yeah,
just
I was saying, you know, when you go to bed at night and you close your eyes, like, what are you okay with that moment, like in the stillness of the night, when you're completing your day and when you're reflecting on your decisions and you're reflecting on your life and who it is that you are? Like, are you okay, and do you have peace in that moment? Or is that the scariest moment of your day? You know, like, I would love to see us as women get to a point to where we have peace within who we are, to where it's like, dang, man, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have yelled at that person. Like, I shouldn't have cussed out my manager. I hope you don't cuss your manager out. I'm sarcastic, guys. You know, to where it is that you can reflect on your day and who you are, and who you are as a flawed individual that makes mistakes, that has things that you may not necessarily like all the time, but that you can just have peace because you know that there's intention behind who you are, whose you are, why you're created, and that there's purpose in every single breathing second and moment of the day and moment of your life. You know, I know for me personally, like, I always ask myself questions like, why is this happening? Like, I constantly, like, I'm a questioner within. Like, I'm like, can I do that? Like, do I really have the tools? Like, how do I do that? Like, how do you, what is that? Like, all the time, like, I never could really just, like, chill out, which is strange because outside,
your disposition is, I'm the same way, just super
I'm super
back,
chill, but on the inside
it's like all the time.
Oh my gosh, what, how, oh, you know. And I had to get to a point to where I was like, you know, I may have questions about certain things. I may question myself. I may have doubts or fears, or, you know, question my identity, or why I'm created, or why I may look a certain way, or why, you know. Everybody has these questions, but you have to get to a point to where you understand why you were created, why you come from the background you come from, why certain things happen to you as a child, why you were allowed to have certain heartaches and pains and these things that people go through that they never really deal with in a healthy way, that comes out negatively and can, you know, in a lot of different aspects of life, which allows you to get to a place to where you feel like you may need $100,000 worth of plastic surgery. Not knocking plastic surgery, not if that's something that you're into, like, do you. But I'm just saying, like, you have to get to a place to where you're satisfied with you,
or else it's like an unending cycle,
right?
You know, and I think
that's that's exhausting.
That's an expensive cycle.
It's an expensive cycle, and it's mentally and emotionally, like, draining, you know. So, like I stated in the beginning, you have to get to a place to where you value yourself enough in the condition of who you are, in your identity, in your soul, and in your heart, and in what really aches your heart. Because I feel like a lot of people are hurting, you know, for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like that's why. You said something earlier, Chelsea said something earlier, that images are portrayed and they come from two sources. It's either an affirmation or a cry. And I feel like a lot of negative images are portrayed sometimes of women because it's like our way of maybe crying and saying we need voids to be filled. We need to feel whole, like we're broken. You know, we need to feel loved. We need more affirmation. But a lot of times you won't be able to get that from anything or anybody else but your source and your creator, you know, and God, or, you know, and from that you can learn how to do that within. And those are the tools in life that's going to sustain you. That's what's going to keep you. That's what's going to build healthy marriages. That's what's going to make us healthy moms, you know, so we won't be crazy moms, you know, yelling at our kids and cusses them out.
Yeah.
Because my mentor just said something to me yesterday, and she said, women that don't deal with their issues, they pass them down to their children. And so what ends up happening is broken moms create broken children. And I don't know about y'all, but I really value myself in that season when I do become a wife and a mother, and I do not want to have a broken marriage. I don't want to be a broken mom. I know I'll make mistakes, but I'm doing the work now.
Yeah, so that
before,
you can
so that these decisions will benefit my marriage and will benefit my home. Because when you look back at a lot of people's pain, it comes from their home life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
so we have to value ourselves in our homes, you know, and this goes for men too. Like, as fathers, like, you know, we need y'all to be leaders, and we need y'all to deal with y'all's pain and y'all's hurt so that y'all can lead us correctly and, you know, be the fathers that we need y'all to be and be the husbands that we need y'all to be. Like, humanity as a whole needs to focus on being whole, because that's what's going to keep us. And a lot of things I got to work on still, you know, and it's a day-by-day process.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and I definitely think, though, that there's, like, I just would like to think that there's a tipping point. I think, and I think we're kind of reaching it. I think
that's good.
You know,
I feel the same way.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a little unfair to, you know, blame it solely on reality shows. I think I'm very sensitive to that because I feel like women have, like, I feel like it's been worse for women than men, and maybe some people would disagree with that. I'd be happy to hear, like, your reason why. But I just feel like the range of, like, what's acceptable, at some point, like, the novelty has passed. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, anyone who overlooks the impact that that's having on our future generations is, like, either, like, crazy or they just don't care. Right. I really think it's that simple. And I think you can package it however you want. I mean, they have shows with doctors. They have shows with, like, athletes' wives. They have all these different, like, packages, but it's the same thing.
It's the same.
So it's just like, where's the fruit in that, you know? And I think that's really what it comes down to.
Where is the, how is this benefiting me as a woman? How is this equipping me for betterment? You know, I don't want to see people just making mistakes all the time. I want to see people making mistakes and overcoming them and saying, like, yes, I made this mistake. Like, I messed up here. But because of this mistake, here's where I am now. Here's how I overcame that. Here's how, you know, I became whole, or I became stronger as a person. And I just feel like there's not enough of that. There's not enough hope. There's not enough substance in that. And my fear is for the little girl that's sitting there who doesn't have these things in the home, you know, that's becoming a product of this never-ending cycle of us watching people's disasters and tolerating it and putting these images on the forefront. Like, I fear for her future, you know, and I care enough about her, even though I've never met her or seen her, to invest in her and to bring it to her attention that, you know, honey, like, there are options. Like, people make mistakes.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. I think, and I love that, like, you revisited, like, the idea of options, because
I like the way, yes. I like to do that, I like the way you move, yes. I like the walk, I like the way you move, please. Won't you do that? Dance and everybody on the avenue.